this is KD8NJZ, Craig, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Really haven't done a whole lot on YouTube, but I mentioned on Twitter that I would give a quick tour of my shack, so I thought I'd try and produce a video, and hopefully you guys enjoy what you see. I'm a new ham, just to give you a little bit of background on myself. 34 years old, just got my license, my general class license in March of this year. It's March of 2010, and it's something I've wanted to do since I was in college, just didn't have the time to do it. And then after college I started working, got married, and just kind of forgot about amateur radio, to be honest. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year that I thought of it again. And a friend of mine up in Minnesota, his name's Matthew, he just got his license, and he was telling me a little bit about how they dropped the code requirement, and you know how the technician level is not really that difficult. As long as I can do some basic math and basic electronics, you'll get your tech no problem. And I decided to go ahead and study for my general at the same time, and passed both and did really well in the test. So here I am, finally got my amateur radio license. My first radio was an HT. I got a Yaesu FT60R. Really good, you know, dual band handheld for the price. I've been very happy with it, and that's what I've been using for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Use it in the car primarily, and here in the house when I didn't have the rig that I have now. For HF equipment, I was borrowing equipment from the Wood County Amateur Radio Club. They gave me a Drake to try. It wasn't in operating order, so that didn't work out. And they also had a Kenwood TS440 S that I did get going and got on HF. And so I got to give a lot of thanks to the Wood County Amateur Radio Club here in Bowling Green, Ohio. Oh, and K8BBK actually lent me the first HF rig that I got to try. It was a Yaesu FT900, and that was my first experience on HF. Had a lot of fun. My first HF contact out of the state of Ohio, was Tennessee, and it was just really exciting. So if you're a new ham or you're thinking about getting your license, I'd encourage you to go for it. It's a fun hobby, and even if you're not super technically oriented, it's doable. There's plenty of people that would be more than willing to help you study for your test and understand some of the basic concepts of amateur radio. In the ham community, they're known as Elmers, and you can find out the history of why they're called Elmers instead of Mentors just by doing a Google search. So anyway, I say go for your license, and without further ado, let me go ahead and give you a tour of my shack. I had a lot of help from a fellow ham here in the Bowling Green area. His name is WD8. His call sign is WD8JWJ. His name is Bill. He sold me my antenna and some mast sections that I use to get my HF antenna up, and we'll see that in a little bit. I had mentioned the HF equipment I had been borrowing. I'm no longer borrowing. I finally bought my own equipment. And let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got in the shack here. Alright, I mentioned the Kenwood TS440 that I had borrowed from the Wood County Amateur Radio Club. As you can see, it is no longer in operation. I mean, it works, but I have it off the desk. And there it is. It served me well. It's a good rig. If you can find one used, and you're looking for some cheap, good equipment to get into HF, I would highly suggest it. It's got an auto tuner built right in, and it works real well. So there's the Kenwood that I had borrowed, and I'm storing it for the club until we can get some more permanent headquarters. We're meeting in the Wood County Sheriff's Department right now. Alright, taking a look at the shack setup. Here's my QTH. As you can see, the centerpiece right there is the Yaesu 857D. Covers everything from 160 meters down to 70 centimeters. And I managed to get mine used. It was just a couple of months old for about $100 cheaper than you can buy it for new. And I love this little radio. It's 100 watts out, and it's worked real well. On top, just because sometimes it can be hard to see the readout, the meter readout on the screen. I do have an LDG meter. You can configure it for SWR or power output when you're transmitting. Here's the CW key that I'm using right now. This is borrowed from the Wood County Amateur Radio Club, and I have had a few CW QSOs. It's worked out real well. It's a nice key. As you can see, there's my license, and of course my ARRL membership card. Up there is the Rookie Roundup certificate that I participated in. Didn't do as well as I wanted to, but there's a CW Rookie Roundup coming up, I believe in December, that I'm going to try and operate in. There's my band plan that I use to cheat still. And I am a member of the Straight Key Century Club, number 7134, I believe. 7136, I'm sorry. Yeah, there it is. Alright, so there's a couple of my certificates. Up here is a little manual tuner that K8BBK has let me borrow. And I'm using that for 10 meters because my antenna outside does not like to tune up on 10 meters. Of course, the Mac. I love my Mac. I grew up on PC. No hard feelings, but I do love my Mac. And for my PSK31 that I'm doing right now, I am using a Signal Link USB interface that interfaces between the radio and the computer. And that's worked out real well. Over here I did get a Daiwa watt meter, cross needle watt meter. There is my LDG Z11 Pro 2 auto tuner, and I love this little tuner. Once you get tuned up on a spot, it'll put that in memory, and next time you come back to that frequency or anywhere near around it, it will tune very, very quickly so that you don't have to mess around too much. There's my power supply. It's an Alinco DM330MV. It's worked out real well for me. Alright, so there is my shack. It's pretty modest. A lot of that equipment you can get fairly cheap compared to what a lot of guys spend or what a lot of hams spend on their equipment. You know, modest shack, it's gotten me about 42 states and 30 countries. We'll take a look at the antenna setup outside, and you can see what I'm doing for there as well. Doesn't take much to make contacts worldwide. So let's head on outside.